All right, it looks like we have audio. We are just getting set up over here to make sure everyone can hear us. And I think we can. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here at the First Alert Desk here on Saturday. I tried to be a little bit more detailed in the caption below so that we can get right into it and just let you guys know exactly what we're working on. So we just finished our editorial meeting about 30 minutes ago, and I did everything to try to get this up to speed for you guys so that we can dive right into it. So tonight we are doing our best to scatter our reporters, and they're really just hitting the ground because we are going to be following two stories today. We have our Atlanta News First reporter, Asia Wilson, who is following a story that took place the other day, and it's a fatal crash that happened on I-75. Just absolutely horrible. This is the stuff that really just hits home for all of us, because anytime that there's children involved, that's when it is just absolutely gut-wrenching. And that's what happened in Clayton County. There were three siblings who died in the crash, and they were among the three of the four people in total that died. And I wanted to just bring you guys up to speed because we are going to be efforting an interview with the family to try to hear from them. But I wanted to bring you up to speed on how we got here.
It's just horrific.
A phrase Clayton County police kept repeating when going over the details of this wreck they say was caused by a vehicle speeding over 100 miles per hour here on I-75 southbound a little after 1 this morning.
That vehicle then clipped another vehicle and overturned, hitting a tree and bursting into flames. Two people were ejected from that vehicle. The other two people and a dog remained inside of the car.
All four were killed. Police say three were siblings. I spoke with their brother on the phone. He says it was his 21-year-old brother, 18-year-old sister, 12-year-old brother, and their dog that died in the crash. The person in the car that was clipped survived.
They were transported to the hospital. They were alert and conscious, but they did have some injuries.
First responders stayed on the scene for 5 hours, talking to witnesses and investigating the exact circumstances of the crash.
I just spoke with one of the sergeants on scene. She said that this is one of the most horrific scenes that they've ever seen. So yes, our officers probably will seek assistance from our chaplains and our peer support and everything.
Clayton County police say speeding is common on the interstate late at night and in the early hours of the morning and can have deadly results like this.
In reference to driving in Atlanta, please drive safely, drive the speed limit, drive carefully, be considerate of other drivers.
So as you can tell there, I mean, this was not just any crash. This was absolutely horrendous. And we're going to try to see if we can squeeze out some more details from that situation today and hopefully give the family an opportunity to comment if they would like to, because we know that right now this is when it is very fresh, so we will be very understanding and give the family their space if that becomes what they decide. But if we do hear from them, you will hear from them in our newscast later on this evening. So keep an eye, tune in with us at 6 and see if Asia Wilson was able to get that interview, and keep an eye because it may happen later on in the evening in our 9, 10, or 11 o'clock shows. So keep an eye on that. All right, so I'm going to move on here. This is something that we've all been dealing with, the hot temperatures outside. And now it looks like the hot temps are driving up the prices at the gas pump. And that's what we're following as well. We have our Atlanta News First reporter, Joshua Skinner, hitting the road today. He is going to be going to the gas station and just talking to different drivers and try to see if they have been noticing any difference, because what we're told is that the Biden administration and their officials are keeping a very watchful eye on this situation. The senior White House officials said that they have been briefing the president on this situation regularly because of how it's moving. AAA says the average price of gas rose 2 cents per gallon on Friday to $3.73. That follows the biggest one-day spike since June of last year, earlier in the week. And gas prices have climbed 15 cents in just 1 week. The White House says heat and summer travel, along with the strength in the economy, have driven up the demand for travel and energy usage. So we're all moving around a lot more. We don't have the constraints of the pandemic anymore. So that is something that is going to contribute to why more people are taken to the road for road trips and just all of the above. So that's something that we are going to be digging in deeper to tonight. So we're going to have that live at 6 from Joshua Skinner. He's going to be bringing us some more details on that. He did reach out to AAA to try to get an interview with them, and if we do, you'll see it on our air. So I want to move right along into our next story. This is some video that we were able to get from a symposium against crime. It was some local ministers in our community from the Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church held this today. You can see a lot of people were out there, and this was really an initiative to bring together leaders in the community, voices in the community, and people who really just are that go-to person who can connect you with the right person. That sometimes is all we're missing, and this was what happened today. They were really trying to get out the word about the mental health resources in place in our community and what we still need to do to empower our youth and make sure that they feel supported in this area because of the ongoing violence that has been plaguing our community. So they partnered with local police departments, local school boards, pastors to offer counseling, intervention, and other supportive services to the community during this time, especially when summer is a time when kids are out and about. There's more idle time. How do we get them involved with more sports, more activities among one another so that they are staying out of trouble? So that was the goal today, was really just to combat crime and to make sure that people in our neighborhood feel supported and that they have the tools in their toolbox to tackle this issue, to make sure that our teens are staying on the right track. Well, this next story that I want to talk about is a story that's not a top story anymore, but it is our top story that we were talking about earlier this week. And when I say earlier this week, I mean yesterday. This was a story that I have been working on personally for over a year, trying to get it to this point, and I was finally able to share it yesterday. This involves a man who was stabbed in Piedmont Park 14 years ago, and the case still remains unsolved tonight. We did share Patrick Boland's story yesterday because that was also the 2-year anniversary of when Katie Janess was stabbed to death along with her dog Bowie in Piedmont Park. And investigators did come out with a press conference from the Atlanta Police Department saying they still do not have any suspect leads in that case. And that is the same situation for Patrick Boland's case. They do not have any suspect leads in who may have taken his life and stabbed him in the park. So I did have a chance to speak with Patrick's sister. This took a lot. She lives in Texas, and we did send our crews to Texas and Savannah just to bring you this story. So I'm going to let you see it because hopefully we can get some more answers on this tonight.
And I just miss him, miss talking to him, miss hugging him. You know, I just miss him terribly.
For Sharon Batista, her brother, Patrick Boland, was her shining light.
I cannot even begin to describe the pain that I feel when I look at my brother's picture, his smiling face and just his warmth.
Sharon would often visit Patrick in Atlanta. She lives more than 780 miles west of the city. Despite the distance, Piedmont Park for her is a dark place that haunts her family every day. 14 years ago, Patrick was found stabbed to death in the park.
I want people out there to realize that even after 14 years, the pain is still immense.
Patrick's apartment showed signs that he left abruptly. His sister believes he was meeting someone here in the park, but who exactly remains a mystery. Who would try to do this to your brother?
That is the million-dollar question. And I would give almost everything that I have right now to find that answer.
Like in the murder of Katie Janess, investigators had very few suspect leads.
While surveying the crime scene, noticed that there were some cameras in the immediate vicinity within the park.
Former Atlanta Police Homicide Commander and current South Fulton Police Chief Keith Meadows was one of the lead investigators on the case, and he remembers that night vividly.
Unfortunately, our canvass didn't yield much in the way of leads, and at that time, we learned that the cameras in the park were not working properly.
There wasn't an answer at all really about the cameras because they weren't working, and there may not be a good answer for that question.
More than a decade later, Sharon lives with guilt. She feels she hasn't done enough to get answers as to who murdered her brother.
I know that I haven't done enough to push for someone to reopen the case because the pain sometimes is unbearable.
She's hoping by speaking out for the first time, new answers will come to light despite this dark memory, not just for her brother, but for Katie too.
I think it's worth reopening right now and taking a stronger look at the case and the physical evidence that did exist at that time.
There's that 1% of cold cases that are solved, and I'm hoping and pray every day that his case is among those, that 1%.
In both the murder of Katie Janess and Patrick Boland, the cameras in Piedmont Park were not working. But it's important to note that last year, the city spent $40 million installing more than 30 additional new surveillance cameras here in the park. And now those cameras are linked up to the Atlanta Police Department's video integration system. Reporting in Midtown tonight, I'm Tori Cooper, Atlanta News First. So as of right now, the Fulton County District Attorney's Cold Case Task Force is the one with the case. And this is because this, of course, is from 14 years ago. So there is still a lot that still needs to be answered. And the cameras were not working at the time. And that was the case with Katie Janess as well. But again, those cameras are now up. They've installed more cameras in the park. And hopefully this is not something that happens again. But we will be keeping a close eye to see if any answers are yielded from either one of these investigations. Make sure that you tune in with us later on this evening because we know that it is hot outside. That is the story today. We have a first alert for today and tomorrow. Our first alert meteorologist, Cutter Martin, is going to be timing it out for you, letting you know when you can expect some spotty showers and when to get outside and maybe hang by the pool. So we hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we'll see you at 6:30 or 6 o'clock, and we'll see you at 9 o'clock, and we'll see you at 10 o'clock, and we'll see you at 11 o'clock. All right, have a great night.